All right, guys, went back today with another high value red dot option for your handgun, and this one is made by Primary Arms. In my opinion, one of the big giants in the high value optics category. These guys make some impressive red dots with really good qualities and features, as well as LPVOs, long range optics, you name it, these guys are doing it, and they are really blowing a lot of their other competitors out of the water when it comes to value for money. So I was super excited when I saw them release the RS-10. I saw some ads on Instagram and a few different places. So I actually sent out a request specifically to these guys to review this optic, and they were nice enough to send it out to the channel. The cool thing about this optic is the list of specs and features for the price, and it mates up perfectly with their motto of getting the best bang for your buck. So when you're looking at this, it comes in at $199, and what you're getting is a red dot option for the Doctor and Noblex cut. Now, if you follow the channel, you'll know I've been reviewing a lot of the Palmetto State Armory daggers, and they have a Doctor cut on them. I've had a few other optics cuts on different handguns that fit that Doctor cut. So more the True Glow Vortex, that style cut. Now, the problem is I feel like it's very finicky, and the PSA dagger has not been accepting a lot of Doctor cut optics lately. So I've got a list of videos that I'll try to post in the description below, and you can search my website for the optics that fit it. So I was really excited to see that this was supposed to be the same style cut, especially at the $199 price point. Now, you see it sitting on a dagger, but I don't want to mislead you, so right off the bat, this does not fit the Palmetto State Armory dagger Doctor cut. It was actually a little bit too long, and not necessarily too long. On the back of the PSA Doctor cut, and actually a lot of the other handguns that I had with this similar cut, it did not fit. So I had a few from a few different companies that were cut a while back for that True Glow Vortex and the Noblex or Doctor style cut, and this optic did not fit those. What it did fit though was the Glock MOS plate systems, and I'm sure you could have your slide cut to this specific optic. And the cool thing about this is they actually include a plate in the box for those Glock MOS systems. So that's a really awesome feature right out of the box, but you may be wondering how I got it on this dagger. So what I did was I took a file to the rounded edges on the back of the dagger about, I don't know, 50 to 100 times until I knocked off those edges, and this dropped in perfectly and aligned perfectly. But herein lies the next problem, and this was a problem I had with this optic on other platforms as well. It might have actually fit the cut, but when you went to put the screws in that corresponded with your slide, they did not fit into the holes of this optic. That was a big deal for me. So what I had to do was actually drill out the holes in this optic because I had already filed my slide and I was kind of committed at this point. I don't recommend you do any of this. All of this can void your warranty, ruin the products, but for the purposes of this review, I was already committed in tearing up my slide to get it to work. I had no idea the hole sizes were going to be too small, and you're going to run into this unless you're using the smaller screws provided specifically for the MOS plate, or your slide is cut with those screws. The 2 or 3 slides that I tried, the screws I believe were 632, and they did not fit through the holes inside the optic, yet all of my other ones did that I tried. The True Glows, the Vortex, the Sealy's, all of those had large enough holes for those screws to go into the dagger, but sometimes the footprint was the same. So it's been a challenge to fit it to the dagger, but the cool thing about this is they include that Glock MOS plate. So if you have a plate system on your handgun that takes the Glock MOS plates, it's going to work perfectly because they send you one. Now, with all that being said, this is one of the most impressive optics, though, in this price category. I just really wish in the Generation 2 they would round the edges more in the back to fit more of the Doctor and Noblex cuts, and this may be perfectly to spec and the slides may be out of spec, but with those variations, I always like to give myself a little extra when I'm designing something at my day job. I'm actually an engineer by trade, so it's nice to give that give and take. They've already rounded the edges some. They need to bring that round a little bit further to the back, and it would fit the Palmetto State Armory dagger, and I feel like that would be a good market for them. High value optic, high value slide, I think that would be a great option. And once they open up these holes, they would be able to use the screws that the dagger uses as well. Just something to consider. Now let's talk about all the positives though, because a lot of people still want to grab this because it's competing with a lot of the Holosuns and a few other optics, yet it's coming in a lot cheaper. This one boasts a 40,000 hour battery life, shake awake technology, meaning when you pick it up, it automatically turns on. You don't have to fumble with buttons, which is perfect for a personal defense defense optic. The other cool thing is you can see how low profile the back is, so you can pick up your raised iron sights, and that's a really nice option. It's a push button design, and this thing gets insanely bright. This is one of the brightest optics I've ever seen. You can see the camera trying to focus in on it, and that is absolutely awesome. I'm so tired of getting budget or high value red dots down to the range in the sun, and you struggle to pick up the dot. Primary Arms knows what they're doing. It's also built incredibly robust. It's got a thick top cover, but not overly thick, just enough to protect it. And the glass itself is pretty darn clear, and you can actually get a larger viewing window than some other optics on the market, and you can look up those exact specs and features on their website. The other cool thing they did was they made the battery changeable on the side without making this whole platform huge. There are some companies out there that make the base of their optics massive, and you can change the battery out on the side or make it slim like this, but you have to disassemble the entire thing to change the battery. So Primary Arms kept it slim on the bottom and out of the battery compartment, and everything is rugged and robust, and it's going to give you some waterproof ratings. I will show you guys the sides. It actually comes with a 3 MOA dot, and you can read all of the specs and features so you know exactly what you're getting. This is an awesome red dot option when it comes to those specs and features. It really is a spec monster. Now, that's pretty much everything spec-wise about this optic. It picks up really well. It points really well. The shake-awake technology works great to save yourself some battery. It's great for personal defense, but again, we did run into some fitment issues with some of the slides we tried, but it is nice they included the optic plate in the box. The one last thing I want to talk about, though, is it looks like they use some type of pulse width modulation or pulsing technology in the diode itself to save battery, because you do get a strobe effect on some of the lower settings. Now that's enhanced by the camera, and you can see it right there, almost like a pulsing, and the camera doesn't know what to do with that. But with the naked eye, you actually detect the pulsing when you're transitioning from target to target. So what you're going to do is you're going to have that dot. I can't do it on camera to show you guys, but you're going to have that dot have almost a strobe or streak effect where it turns on and off as you're transitioning. At lower settings, it's incredibly noticeable. And even at the highest setting, it's still noticeable. A lot of optics have eliminated this at the highest setting, and I've seen them utilize the technology at the lower settings, and I believe it's to save battery life, but I could be wrong. I'm no electronics expert. But I do know when they're pulsing that dot, it gets a little bit distracting, and that's one of the other negatives of this red dot. So I really feel like they are an 8 out of 10 on this thing, and it could be almost perfect. If they would remove the pulsing, at least at some of the higher brightness settings, that would be great. If they could open up those holes so it could fit a more wide variety of optics and round these edges, this would absolutely be a 10 out of 10, the perfect red dot. Really sub $300, maybe even more, and it's only $199, so they are so darn close. Do I still recommend this optic? Absolutely. It's great, especially if you're putting it on top of a Glock MOS. This thing is absolutely awesome for $199, but I did want to make you aware of the positives and negatives, and I'm super excited to see where Primary Arms goes with this line of optics. I can't wait to see if there's any updates in the future to this, or if they're going to keep it the same. I still feel like it's a high value, but there were those couple of things I wanted to mention before you went out and grabbed it, because I know if you're like me, the minute you saw this, you knew you had to grab it, because sorry guys, because Primary Arms doesn't make junk. They make good quality products. Also want to give a huge shout out to Callaway Ballistics for sponsoring the ammo on this channel. They sent over a ton of 9mm. They recently did a price drop, so they've got a lot of this in stock, and this is really good quality ammunition at affordable prices. And I've got the code 704TACTICAL for free shipping on ammo orders over $200. Definitely check these guys out, and you won't be disappointed. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.